they did not at the time. Now, we have black people, blacks that are on the different committees with the city of Rocky Mount. But at that time, there were none. And to give you a real close example of what I'm talking about, something that's real close, is that my uncle Herbert Tillman, the man that I was named after, he became the first black policeman in Rocky Mount. And when he became the first black policeman in Rocky Mount, his patrol was around Douglas Block because nothing but blacks hung around Douglas Block. And if a white man happened to come to Douglas Block and committed a crime or did something wrong, he did not have the authority to arrest that man or lay a hand on him. He would have to call the police station to send a white man to come and arrest him if they choose to do so. That was very, very prejudiced in my eyes because I saw it from day to day. And he was only allowed to beat up the black folk, arrest the black folk. And, that can be kind of difficult sometimes. And they wouldn't let him drive the car, nothing like that. It was only years later that, he wound up being promoted up. And I think he got all the way up to captain. And but during those years back in that lower 60s, I tell you, it was pretty rough. It was, I guess you would say, and to give you another example too, when I first come out of the military, about the biggest working facility that they had was Burlington Mills, which is on Pine Street. That was one of the biggest places to work. And I applied out there, and
What year was that?
that was in 1966. And they were, because of all this stuff that Martin Luther King did, they wanted to put in some blacks as higher paying jobs. Not real high, but higher. Because before, the only thing that a black was able to do at Burlington Mills was sweep the floor and blow the dust off the machines and clean the bathrooms. And I guess I just happened to come in at that particular time. And they gave me an intelligence test, and I did the intelligence test. And I didn't think they was going to hire me, but when I got ready to walk out the door, they called me back and say, "Hey, not hold it, come back. Say, we want to talk to you." Said, you scored the highest on the intelligence test than anybody in the last 6 months or so. Say, we want to put you in the training so that you can become a weaver. And during that time, blacks didn't run the machines, which is what a weaver do. They run the machines that made the cloth. And so when they put me into training, they hired, I believe it was three more blacks. And, this was, I guess, to see if the blacks had enough sense to know how to do anything. But anyway, we went through our training, and I was so surprised that how the whites reacted to me just having a weaving job. They treated us real ugly. They did everything that they could to make us fail our training, they would sabotage our machines. When our back was turned, they would go tear it up and, anything that they could to make us look bad. But we all passed, and I was just so surprised how ugly that was.
Tell me the specifics of that. Tell me stories of what actually happened.
Okay, a loom is what the weaver runs, and in the back of the loom, there's a great big roll of real fine thread, and the fine thread has to come through what they call a reed, and the reed, it was a little line like so, and it had a whole bunch of little lines in it, and each thread had to go through that reed. And when it go through that reed, you had the other little I forget the name of it, but it would run back and forth as the fabric, as it would be going like that. The little shuttle would be going back and forth making cloth. And what they would do, they would take chewing gum, and they would, when your back was turned, they would take chewing gum and smear it all over the reed. And then when the straight threads would go up, all those threads would hit that chewing gum, it would just break. And as a weaver that runs those machines, it was our job to keep those machines going. And usually when a fabric break is just one strand, and you can run back there and tie it and, finally, get it and fire it back up. But somebody smeared chewing gum all over there. You got to pick all that chewing gum out of the reed. And then after you pick all that chewing gum out of the reed, you got to go back there and you got a whole harness nest of strings that are broken, and you got to try to tie them in. And then it wasn't that you only had one machine. I believe I had something like 28 machines, and you had to keep all of them running. So you couldn't be at that machine all night long working on that machine because the rest of them were cut off. And that's the kind of thing that we would go through, And